a secret Israeli database, hidden from the public, now exposed. 83% of Gaza's dead. Civilians, not militants, not terrorists. Children, families, entire neighborhoods erased, while leaders boasted of precision and restraint. The leak shatters the official story and raises the most damning question of all. Were Israel's claims always built on lies? A classified leak tells a different story. At least 83% of Palestinians killed in Israel's campaign were civilians. The data, uncovered by a joint investigation from Plus 972 magazine, Local Call and The Guardian, directly contradicts the official line Israel has pushed throughout the Gaza war. The findings come from an internal Israeli intelligence database managed by the Military Intelligence Directorate, known by the Hebrew acronym AMAN. Multiple intelligence sources familiar with the database told the investigators that the army views it as the only authoritative tally of militant casualty figures. As one source put it,
"There's no other place to check."
According to the data, which was obtained in May of this year, the Israeli army believed it had killed around 8,900 operatives since October 7th. The database shows 7,330 deaths were considered certain, with another 1,570 recorded as probably dead. At that time, the Gaza Health Ministry's death toll stood at 53,000, meaning fighters accounted for just 17% of all casualties. This ratio stands in stark contrast to claims made by Israeli officials throughout the conflict. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserted in May 2024 that the ratio was closer to 1-to-1 between civilians and militants. In December 2023, Israeli Army spokesperson Jonathan Conricus told CNN that Israel had killed 2 civilians for every 1 militant, describing this as tremendously positive. The data reveals a pattern of inflated public claims about militant casualties. Netanyahu has variously claimed Israel killed close to 20,000 Hamas operatives, while outgoing Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi cited 20,000 Hamas and Jihad members killed in his January retirement speech. A study by the Begin Sadat Center at Bar-Ilan University even claimed 23,000 operative deaths based on military sources. Intelligence sources explained to the investigators that these inflated numbers likely came from an older, inaccurate database.
Those numbers are tall tales of the Southern Command.
The Southern Command's reports were apparently based on field commander statements whose subordinates regularly misreported civilian casualties as militants. This pattern of misreporting is documented in specific cases. Plus, 972 magazine and Local Call revealed that a battalion stationed in Rafah killed around 100 Palestinians and recorded them all as terrorists. Yet an officer testified that in all but 2 cases, the victims were unarmed. A Haaretz investigation found that only 10 out of 200 terrorists the IDF claimed the 252nd Division had killed could be verified as Hamas operatives.
We are reporting a lot of Hamas operatives killed, but I think most of the people we report as dead are not really Hamas operatives. People are promoted to the rank of terrorist after their death. If I had listened to the brigade, I would have come to the conclusion that we had killed 200% of Hamas operatives in the area.
The civilian casualty rate revealed by this investigation is extraordinarily high for modern warfare. Major General Itzhak Brik, who served as a commander and later as ombudsman for soldiers' complaints, described the numbers presented by the IDF spokesperson as one of the most serious bluffs in Israel's history.
They lie non-stop, both the military echelon and the political echelon. In every raid, the IDF spokesperson's announcement said, hundreds of terrorists were killed. It's true that hundreds were killed, but they weren't terrorists. There is absolutely no connection between the numbers they announce and what is actually happening. Everyone the army says it killed, most of them are civilians, period.
The investigation also revealed the military culture that contributed to these inflated figures. Yossi Sariel, then commander of Unit 8200, shared daily updates with subordinates showing militant deaths on what was called the War Dashboard. 3 sources said Sariel presented this as a measure of army success.
He put a lot of emphasis on data, data, data. There was a need to measure everything in quantitative terms to show efficiency.
The revelations come as genocidal rhetoric from Israeli leadership has been documented throughout the conflict. In leaked recordings aired on Israeli Channel 12, former military intelligence director Aharon Haliva said 50 Palestinians must die for every Israeli killed on October 7th, adding, "It doesn't matter now if they are children." Chief of Staff Halevi's wife revealed on a podcast that he told her on the morning of October 7th.
Gaza will be destroyed.
"22 months into the Gaza war, a Hamas attack on an IDF position near Khan Yunis has exposed troubling parallels to the security failures of October 7th, 2023. On August 20th, Hamas fighters successfully penetrated a military defensive position, wounding 3 Israeli soldiers before 15 attackers were killed. The breach occurred when Hamas gunmen emerged from a tunnel just 40 to 50 meters from the IDF position, catching Israeli forces completely off guard. The proximity of the tunnel left soldiers with essentially no response time to prevent the penetration. More concerning was the revelation that electronic surveillance cameras covering the approach had been disabled, with no human lookouts posted on that side of the position.
Not a single shot was fired until Hamas started firing on soldiers within the position, after they had already penetrated unhindered.
The IDF had been relying solely on electronic surveillance to monitor the defensive area, despite being 22 months into a conflict that began with catastrophic intelligence failures. The incident raises fundamental questions about lessons learned from October 7th. Hamas fighters had enough time to conduct surveillance and identify the unwatched approach, suggesting a level of operational planning that should have triggered enhanced security measures. Military sources confirmed there had been suspicious movements around the position for 3 days prior to the attack, yet the IDF response proved inadequate. The army had set up ambushes in response to the suspicious activity, but placed them farther from the position, apparently unable to imagine Hamas attempting to invade the inner perimeter. This mindset mirrors the overconfidence that contributed to the October 7th disaster, where the belief in technological superiority and defensive invincibility proved catastrophic. The tunnel network remains a persistent challenge despite repeated claims of success in destroying Hamas infrastructure. While the IDF destroyed most strategic tunnels used for major operations, officials estimate they have eliminated only 25% of smaller tactical tunnels used for localized movement. The army has taken control of just 75% of Gaza territory, meaning the battle against these networks has intensified only in recent months.